My name is Karli Tarver. I'm here to answer the 5 questions for the midterm. I'm going to do my best not to ramble. It's so much to be said in these 5 questions, so I hope that I answer them correctly and give you a full answer. So, number one says, um, what have I learned about the PLC process so far? Well, for one, I have a very unique situation. I'm excited to be in this class because um my principal moved to having PLCs every single day. So I see my coworkers every single day. And although there was some teaching about PLCs, I kind of, now that I'm in the class, I'm realizing I think we have fallen back into that norm of just kind of planning. So, one thing I can say that I learned and I am learning is literally every day kind of what we're not doing and what we are doing right. Um, One of the biggest things that I stood out to me is that the PLC process is as much about the teacher learning and growing as it is for the student. The teachers are to be reflective and to become better together, and when that happens, then just like a domino effect, it should become better in the classroom and better for our students. Speaking of our students, that statement in and of itself, I think that I have learned from the PLC process that it should be about our students as a community on campus, as a district, and not necessarily, this individualized way of thinking that, teachers fall into. My first couple of years teaching, I didn't realize how competitive it could be, as a new teacher asking for help or asking for ideas and having like some of the best teachers not want to share, not want to give resources, not want to help. I didn't realize how competitive it is because of data and because of the conversations in the past that we've had as a team. So, looking at the 5 dysfunctions, I have really, I don't know, that article really verbalized things that I have felt, but have not been able to again verbalize in my team, not really wanting to have those open and honest conversations. I've been in so many meetings where the principal just come in and put the data on the desk, and you shrink within yourself. So how do you overcome not feeling small and not feeling um like you haven't done your job when you've been teaching with everything you have? And so that kind of leads me into number two that I would love for if you could answer some of them, questions that I need answered. I'm not gonna lie, I am still struggling with the whole our students versus my students. And this is why. I consider myself, we joke around and call the teachers kind of I get the struggling students. I feel like that's where my gift is. I've been able to see growth with those students. However, like for example, this particular year, I'm working with a new teacher. It's her second or third year. She doesn't understand what it's like to have like the struggling students. So when we are supposed to have these conversations in PLC, I struggle with not saying, well, my students need this, because if she's so far along, for example, in the curriculum, and I'm still, going back to close gaps, it's hard not for me not to say my students need this, because I'm the person in the classroom, I'm evaluating, and I see eighth grade students who are reading on the second grade and third grade level, whereas my teammates may have students who are on the eighth grade level or even higher. So for me, the question is, how does the PLC really have, I know we're supposed to have these conversations, but how does it really merge and bring it together to where you feel like it's our students. Because the truth of the matter is, I don't feel like it's our students when it's my data that's the lowest, but I know I'm working from a deficit, so to speak. So if you could speak to that, that'll be awesome. I think that another question that I have is, what are some ways that maybe you have gain buy-in from teachers? We know that teachers, especially veteran teachers, are set in their ways, especially when they've developed a system that works for them in their classroom. So why should I PLC? Why should I have these conversations with the newcomers coming in? How do you get teachers, to really open up and buy into the PLC process? I think that as a future leader on a campus, that's going to be one of my main concerns. How do I get teachers to really want to PLC and not see it as an extra step, an added burden, or just fluff, as a lot of teachers say? The third question that I'm going to answer, it says, what are the most important and helpful things I've learned so far? Everything that I've learned so far has been a wealth of information. I can honestly say it has been a reflection for me as a teacher. I feel like I'm honestly having to look at myself and just bad ways of thinking about things and seeing things. I'm not a competitive teacher. I do help other teachers. I love that. That's why I do aspire to be in leadership. However, it will. I do have some habits to break. Um, I'm sorry. I'm looking at my horrible handwriting. So I think that one big thing that I'm gonna learn, I have learned, is to be more results focused. I think that after you've been teaching so long, I heard someone on the video say that, and you know your curriculum back and forth, it's hard not to just want to go in and say, "Hey, we're gonna teach this story. We're gonna pull this to teach verbs," and you find yourself talking about what the lessons are gonna be, and not necessarily, hey, this is what we chose to teach. How did the students do? How can we move forward to get them to mastery? Or if they reach mastery, what is the next standard? To be more standard focused and not necessarily more lesson focused. I'm a lover of content. I love curriculum. I love finding the awesome stories. As a reading teacher, I love to find the great stories to teach from, to teach grammar from. And so it's hard. I'm learning, I'm gonna have to shift more. And we look at data for sure, but to be more result focused, I think that would definitely be um something that to implement into PLCs for my future as a leader. That would definitely be a thing that I would focus on. Um, Another thing that has really been helpful to me, it was the video, practical steps for professional learning. That video was amazing because I saw, I don't know, something just clicked when he asked all three different teachers how they taught and how all three different teachers would assess their students. Well, of course, if we're getting and doing three different things, but these are our students, then of course we're going to have different results. So it just opened my mind up to why it's important to PLC, and why it's important to have those vulnerable conversations, and why it's important to say, how are you teaching this? What are we all going to use? And that's how it uh creates that sense of our students. um because we are individuals in the classroom, and so we do need to merge as a team. That was very eye-opening. I really wish my principal would have showed me that video at the beginning of the school year. It makes sense for me now why. It just gives a greater sense of why. The next question is, in an ideal PLC, I would include what elements. I realize how important it is for us to establish mission, vision, goals. I think norms, that is a big thing because even at the end of a school year, we're kind of still struggling with what are our norms. I think that that foundation needs to be set. I think the accountability leader is important, and just for us to all be able to hold each other accountable, you know, to have those conversations. But first, a team has to be really established in order for us to ask those tough questions. Um, the last question is, in an ideal PLC, I would include what elements. True collaboration has to be a part of the PLC, or else you're not PLCing. It goes back to that buy-in. It goes back to everybody opening up and talking and sharing. Um, I think that a PLC definitely needs to be inquiry based. It needs to have questions, has to have those tough questions. It has to question data. It has to question the best practices for our students. It has to be open and honest when something didn't work. It has to be result focused. We need to look at the data. We have to really scrutinize the data and see where the pitfalls are or where they were. Um, on one of the videos earlier in the class, um, Professor Dufour said that was eye opening as well. How he gave the examples of, we can all be running a marathon, but we're really still individualized. But we have to become more work interdependently. Um, Meaning I need you and you need me for this to work. I think that establishing an atmosphere where we all actually need each other and we all, see results. We see results from the PLC. We see results from having the conversations and from sharing and being honest for our students. Um, Again, the class so far has been a great pleasure. I definitely see some of those dysfunctionings taking place. It's not all bad. I have a great team. I have great leadership. I really do. But I do see that we have moved towards, just planning again. And so I hope to help incorporate some of these pillars of a PLC. That's kind of what I've been calling it. And some of the things that I have been learning from these great videos and these lessons, even the things that I've learned from myself about myself as a future leader. That was amazing to take those tests. Thank you for that. I appreciate the class. I appreciate you. And thank you.